Hi, my name is Adrian Simmons, and I'm the Chief Creative Designer here at Element CPA, where we help entrepreneurs to design their business and their finances. Today, we're going to take a look at the Hubdoc digital document platform and how to integrate it in with Xero, the online accounting platform. And it's part of how entrepreneurs can tech enable their finances to, one, make their lives easier and simpler, but two, also to make their business finances more nimble and to power smart financial decisions as you're navigating the evolution of your business's model and in the marketplace. So for those of you who may not be familiar, Hubdoc is a tool that's cloud-based and basically acts as a hub for all your different financial documents to come into, sort of like a digital filing cabinet. And then secondarily, it can then route those documents to other tools through which it has connections. The key one we're going to look at today is the Xero online accounting platform. Xero, for those who may not be familiar, is an online accounting tool, over 1.5 million subscribers worldwide, that's powering small businesses and entrepreneurs, making an impact in their industries. And it just provides a lot of great tools, some of which we'll see today, which is the connectivity to third-party apps like Hubdoc. So we're not going to go deep into what types of receipts you should be keeping and how long to keep them, but please do know that we've got a great blog post on our Insights blog that dives into that. So I'm going to include a link in the notes with this video, and if you want to go a little bit more into that, know that that's available to you. But our main agenda items this morning are threefold, which is first, how does Hubdoc work in general, so you know how that you can start using it. Secondly, how does the integration of Hubdoc with Xero work? And then thirdly, some tips from our design team's experience on how to use the two together smartly. So we'll go ahead and just dive right on in. So first off, how does Hubdoc work? As I mentioned, Hubdoc is, first of all, a way to gather into one place all your digital documents, which by itself is a huge time-saving and just sort of mental freer-upper, because you don't have to be tracking papers on your desk or in a file cabinet, or if you're on the go or you have team members on the go, etc. You have one repository to send those documents easily and simply. And there's 4 ways to get documents into the Hubdoc system. The first one is to use the smartphone app, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. But that way, you on the go can sort of take a photo and send it into the system. Second way to get documents into Hubdoc is to forward an email confirmation. Nowadays, you buy things online. Often you'll get an acknowledgement which sort of shows you what you bought, what the price is. That's your receipt. There's not a paper receipt. And you're just going to forward that email attachment, or email, I should say. It'll take the body of the email, convert it into a receipt, and then auto-recognize the name and dollar amount, etc. So that confirmation or the attachment itself. So sometimes there might be an invoice or a receipt attached as a PDF, for example, to an email, and you can just forward that. So either of those work as far as sending an email to Hubdoc. Thirdly, you can just log into the website itself and upload a document that you may have from some other source, and just do it right on the website. And fourthly, Hubdoc does have the ability to auto-fetch some statements from banks or credit cards or vendors. So we'll take a look at that as well. But these are really the 4 ways that you can get documents into the system, and it really makes all those processes so much easier. So let's start to just do a quick look at what each of them look like in reality and practice. So I'm going to start with the Hubdoc smartphone app, and I've got my phone here, and I've got a little sample receipt here as well. So I'm just going to pretend that I was out for a coffee. I was working on putting together the outline for this video, for example. And in just a moment, I'll bring this up on screen so you can see it too. Make this big here. And here's actually a picture of what's on my iPhone right now. So I've got my phone right here. You can see on screen what I'm looking at as I scroll up and down. And you notice in the bottom right there's a little phone icon. So I'm just going to tap that phone icon. It's going to bring up the camera. You can see what's in front of me here. And here's the receipt. Notice something I've done on this receipt. Here's a little tip as well. A lot of times if you're working with a third-party bookkeeper, you can just sort of handwrite on that receipt before you take a photo what category that should go to. So this was a non-deductible item, so I just wrote that at the top. I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to say use this photo. And now that is logged in the system. So if I click right there on the top line, it'll bring up what we logged there. Notice I've also got some other, there's an example there, just of the receipt. So I've just used the smartphone while I'm out and about to take a photo of the item, and that's pretty handy right there. I can throw this away. I don't have to worry about sticking it in my pocket. I don't have to worry about losing it underneath the car seat when they're on the plane. It's just always there ready for me. So that's using the smartphone app. Pretty simple to get that into the system. Secondarily, as we talked about, would be forwarding an email confirmation or attachment. So I'm just going to switch screens here, and this is our actual Element CPA Hubdoc implementation. You'll notice that recently we actually purchased some ink for a printer from Xerox, and so Alcides and our team just forwarded that email into the system, and so here it is. You turned it into a PDF, saved it as a receipt. It also is able to auto-recognize the name and the date and the dollar amount right from on screen. So it's going to try to use smart technology. Sometimes if things are harder to read, it may not be able to pull all of it, but it's got pretty decent accuracy that's going to jumpstart you, and then you just have to sort of double check it. We'll go a little bit further into that in a moment, but just to show you the second way to get documents into the system, or to forward an email body like this or an email attachment. The third way would be to upload directly in the website. So again, I'll go back to my Hubdoc. Notice right here at the top, there's an Upload Documents button. Just click that button. I can browse, select a document, and save it into the system. One of the cool things, actually, while we're here, is if you want to upload one document with multiple pages and have Hubdoc split that out, that can be an option too. So if maybe there's a PDF with 10 pages, but each page is a separate receipt, you can just save that as one file. Typically, I'll have each receipt as its own file, just as a standard practice for me. So either way works. So that was the third option, uploading from the website. Just click Upload, select your file, save it in, and you're good to go. And fourthly, you can have Hubdoc auto fetch for you. So if I go back to Hubdoc here, notice there's a button that says Add Account. If I do that, it's going to bring up the different accounts that I've set up. We actually register some domains through 101, so you notice they're one of the ones we have there. Here are all different types of accounts you can search for. Let's say you have AT&T, search for AT&T. Basically, it's going to prompt you to provide your login information, and what Hubdoc can do is log in periodically for you and auto fetch your monthly utility statement, your monthly phone statement, your monthly bank statement. Some banks is actually really nice. In addition to getting the bank statement, it can pull down the check images and even a CSV file of your bank transactions. So that really just depends on the bank itself. So this auto fetch tool is also a great time saver. I will say one caveat though is that it's basically logging in, just sort of pulling those down for you, but different vendor sites and bank sites, etc., as you're probably aware, keep pumping up their security. So depending on how stringent your particular financial institution or vendor is, will determine whether or not you can take advantage of this. But for those that it works, it's a great icing on the cake just to save some time. So those are the four ways to get items into the Hubdoc system. The next question is sort of how to get those documents out. And actually, before I move on to that, one thing to know is when it pulls items into the system, as I mentioned, it's going to auto-recognize the name, date, dollar amount, and it's going to file it in folders for you. So if I click over here, you'll notice that I've got a whole bunch of folders. These aren't ones that I created. These are ones that Hubdoc's created to make it nice and easy for me to find things after the fact. It's great. You don't have to create manila file folders and update them every year and not know which year the file folder's in. Everything is just there, ready, waiting for you. So as I said, let's go back to our 4 ways to get the documents into the system. The next thing is, how do we get the documents out of the system and start to integrate them with the Xero platform? So let me just look at my notes real quick. As far as the integrations go, that's also back here in the settings. So if I add an account, one of the other things that's going to appear along the top here, along these accounts, is integration. So these are the ways that I'm able to connect Hubdoc to other sources. First of all, to my accounting platform. And so right now I have it connected to a demo file for Xero. And then secondly, I can do to storage platforms. So for instance, if you're using Dropbox or ShareFile or Google Drive, etc., those are all systems that can automatically forward a document to for you. And lastly, there's email forwarding. So most systems, even if there's not a direct connection, often they'll have an email address you can send it to, and it'll sort of receive it into the system. And so that can also be a great way to push documents out of the system if you need to. One thing I also like about Hubdoc, just to take a moment, is that if for whatever reason you wanted to discontinue using it, it's really just a one-button push, and you can download all these documents already in folders for you. So it's a very portable system. Your data is not locked into Hubdoc. It's available for you to sort of do a nice download. It might take a little bit, depending on how long you've been using it, but it is there for you, and it's not stored in a proprietary manner, so that's nice. However, as you go along, you may want to be just storing duplicates in these other systems too, just as an extra third or fourth backup or something like that. I will also mention, since it's on screen here, there is a special connection for ScanSnap scanners. So if you have or you've been thinking about getting a document scanner for your office, the Fujitsu ScanSnap is a great tool. We have one in our office as well. And Hubdoc actually has an app where you can hit scan on the scanner and it's going to save it right to Hubdoc, which is just a great, neat tool as well. So our main focus is to take a look at the integration with Xero. So what I'm going to do is bring up the, here's the receipt actually that I just took a photo of a minute ago while we were talking. Notice my handwriting there. Got a nice good photo of it. And if I want to you take advantage of the Xero integration, all I need to do is to click this sidebar to reveal how it can pass that information to third parties. Notice it's done a great job already of recognizing who the vendor was, in this case Dunkin' Donuts. It automatically grabbed the date for me, which is great. Don't need to type that in. It even grabbed the dollar amount for me, which is awesome. So already I've saved time and effort. Next, I'm going to go down into my possible integration destinations. In this case, it's the Xero file that I've connected. And I have some options here on how I want to push this financial document into Xero. I can push it through as a purchase transaction, or in Xero speak, as a bill. Bills obviously are things that you incurred but haven't yet paid. This is a credit card charge I happen to do on the run, so I'm not going to really want to record it as a bill. Xero also allows you, or excuse me, Hubdoc also allows you to push it through to Xero as a spend money transaction. And in this case, that's going to be the appropriate one for this one because it's a credit card charge, and I'm just going to record it as a spend money against the credit card inside Xero. Just to look at the others, there's the expense claim option. So if it's an employee expense reimbursement situation, you can push it into that part of Xero. That can be a great option. Let's say if you do expense reimbursements, you can provide your Hubdoc forwarding email to employees, and they can just send a document there, and it's an easy way to get it into the system. They don't need to have a login. They can just send the document right to the system. Fourthly, you could push a document through as an invoice or an accounts receivable, a customer invoice, if you wanted to do that. It can be a great way, maybe if you're in the field, you might handwrite notes on what an invoice should be, send it to Hubdoc, and in this way a back office team could convert that into an actual invoice. And fifthly, it could go through as a credit note, so whether it's reducing an invoice or a bill. So those are the four main ways to be able to sync it through. Again, I'm going to choose spend money in this case. I'm going to choose the vendor, And I don't know on the demo file they've got a Dunkin' Donuts. They don't, so I can just create a new contact on the go and say, hey, this is my first time purchasing any from there. Just create that vendor here. It's also going to create that vendor on Xero's side, which is nice. It's also going to ask me what bank account I use. So normally I would select a credit card account. In the demo file, I've only got a checking and a savings. So I'll pretend like this was the debit card on the checking account. Next is going to ask me to classify. So by default, it's just going to assume any charge is going to go fully to a particular account inside my accounting platform. So for instance, meals. And I could just choose that from here. Do we have a meals and entertainment category in the default? There is an entertainment. But if it's the case that I have one receipt or purchase and it actually needs to be itemized out across multiple lines, I can hit this multiple category and it will allow me to split out this $4 across multiple different line items, which is great as well. So we cancel that. In this case, though, again, I'm just going to say this is a single line. I'll put it to entertainment, even though it's more like meals. Also, because Hubdoc is integrated with Xero, it's going to pull some of the special Xero features, one of them being tracking categories. In the demo file, the tracking categories being able to identify regions, and so that's why we see here, hey, what regions may you want to be? I'll say East Side. Similarly, in Xero, you can assign expenses to customers. Maybe it needs to be reimbursed, and you want to be able to track that. So you can, if you want to, say, oh, this is related to the city agency customer that we have, and we want it to be associated with their file. So only the ones that have the red star are required. These are just extra, not required. Similarly, if I wanted, this is, the business meeting with the CEO for new development, etc. If I want to put a little note here, I can. Once I've captured all that information, made a couple efforts, so you should know that as you do something, Hubdoc will remember it next time, so a lot of this will be set up, and I don't even have to type this part. In addition to auto-recognizing the details, it'll auto-populate this part, and I'll go ahead and hit publish. And once I hit publish, it's going to send that through. Notice it's saying publishing right now, and then it said, oh, just published. I'm going to toggle over to my Xero file, and here I am in the demo file. Click on the checking account, and notice right here is a transaction that was created in the Xero checking account for the $4.02 to Dunkin' Donuts. It has a little reference that it came from Hubdoc. Over here, I can even click on the icon that will actually bring in that file, and I can see that receipt right from my accounting system. So if you as an owner are sort of scanning through, or even somebody who's doing the record keeping and scanning through is like, wait a second, what was that? Or what's that relate to again? Did they get properly itemized or categorized? With one click, you can see on screen what it related to and be able to evaluate further. So that's another really cool ability. I just click on the transaction to bring it up. Notice it brought through the description that I made. It associated it with the customer that I indicated on the Hubdoc side, put it to the tracking category of each side that I wanted to. Again, I can look at the image from here if I want to try to recollect what it was actually about. There it is, ready for me. Similarly, I could even click this button and go right back to that receipt inside the Hubdoc system. So if I wanted to hop between the two systems to bring them up, it'll take me right to it. So if I need to go a little deeper, etc. So as far as integrating the two systems, you can see how easy that is. Just so you know, you could, if you wanted to, program these connections by vendor to automate themselves and not even require input. So for instance, if you know you have a subscription to Office 365 or to Google Apps and you get charged each month, you can tell Hubdoc, hey, every time you see that invoice from Microsoft or Office, just code it right to that line and don't even wait for my review or approval. So that's a way to even take it another step further. Take a quick look at my notes, make sure I've hit everything I needed to. So that's a good overview then of, number one, how to get documents into the system, then how to use the integration with Xero to quickly pass that information forward. Last thing I want to touch on while we're together then is some of our design team tips on how to use these abilities smartly together. So first off, Hubdoc can be a great way to introduce some financial document discipline into your company. It's not unusual that a lot of small businesses and growing businesses lose track of these documents very easily. And one, it makes it harder for you to evaluate your purchasing habits and to make the financial decisions you need. Number two, it could be an issue in a tax audit. We've often seen when we've represented taxpayers that if a receipt is not available, the IRS is going to disallow that deduction, add it to income, recalculate tax, add on interest and penalties. And that's not pretty when you know that you spent that money, you just don't have the proper documentation to support it. You can find yourself up the creek without a paddle. And I should point out that credit card statements are not adequate documentation of what you purchase. You actually need the receipt itself. And so having Hubdoc can allow you to achieve that discipline, number one, by making it easier to get those documents into your system. But two, you can use it to, just as we did here, to push a transaction into the various checking account, and then you're not going to reconcile a transaction from the reconcile screen unless you see there's already a transaction there that Hubdoc has a document attached to. So this is a great sort of tip to sort of your record keeper is going to go through and reconcile and then come back to you and say, all right, hey, this one, and this one didn't have a receipt. Please send it to Hubdoc. And that way we can be sure that as we're reconciling books, we're capturing the documents and keeping our business in good shape on that front. So that's the first tip, using Hubdoc to achieve financial discipline. Second tip is you may want to use an app other than the Hubdoc app when you're on the go. And the reason I say that, you might have seen as I took the picture of the receipt, it sort of had the table around right here in front of me. But there's an app I like to use, and I have an iPhone, so I'm using iOS, called Scannable. It's free. It's from the makers of Evernote. But Scannable can be set to auto crop the receipt and even make it black and white. And so within an instant, it can sort of recognize a document, crop it black and white. So it's nice, tight, clean, easy to read. Once I've captured that photo then, I just say email to my Hubdoc address. And because it's an email attachment, it'll process it right away. So if you're an iOS user, the Scannable app is great to be able to do that, and I use it for other things as well. If you're an Android user, one that we've seen work well for folks is called ScanBot. There's actually a lot of these types of apps out here, but these two are ones that, especially the Scannable and ScanBot, are two that we've used and have seen work well. So that's a second tip. Use a different app than Hubdoc's app just to be a little cleaner. Third tip I want to offer is you can use Hubdoc to save customer and vendor contracts. So maybe it's the case that in addition to your receipts and your statements, you also want to log when somebody signs a customer agreement, or if you've got, let's say, a renewal for a vendor for a 12-month agreement. Even though it may not be a transaction itself, you could still forward that into Hubdoc and save it under that vendor or save it under that customer to be able to easily reference in the future. This is pretty helpful sometimes when you may do an annual renewal. You don't remember what it was last year. It sure would be nice to see what features change, what price changed from year to year as you're deciding to renew the following year. Use Hubdoc to store that type of items as well. And connected to that, know that you can publish from Hubdoc to Xero files. So just to show you what that looks like, inside every Xero system, there's also a part that says called Xero Files where documents can live. You have a sort of a Xero email address here that if you send from any source, it will show up in this inbox, and then from here it can be attached to anything, a customer record, a transaction, a vendor record, etc. So you can send something to Hubdoc, then you can use this email icon to then forward it to your Xero Files email. That way you're bringing it into Xero and making it easy to do there. So that's a fourth tip for you in terms of smart ways. I should say every business is different depending on the type of business you are, the size business you are, etc. So there's really some thought to put into your workflow to how to design it and make it the most efficient and most effective for you. That's one of the things we do is sort of help people think through, all right, I've got all these different options. Which particular order of events makes sense for me that's going to be most impact for me too. But I want to at least give you a few tips here at the start as well. So that's covers what I wanted to go over today. If you're not yet a member of Element Circle and what you've seen here interests you and you'd like to talk a little bit further, simply click a link along with this video to open up a coffee conversation. We're happy to chat to see how we might be able to help you tech enable your finances, as well as clarify your business's path and optimize your tax. If you're already an existing member of the Element Circle and you'd like to start using Hubdoc, especially now that it's going to be part of your Xero subscription, we'd love to get you started. As I mentioned, we use it ourselves, and it's a great tool to make lives easier. I've got a request contact link along with this video. Just click on that. And of course, in addition, there are links to some of our blog posts and other resources that are really handy. And you can subscribe to this YouTube channel as well as to our blog. We really try to put information that is relevant and useful and not just fluffy. That's a big part of what we're about. So thanks for joining me today. Hopefully something here was helpful to you to help make your life better. And until next time, keep building financial strength for what truly matters.